Season 3 of The Handmaid's Tale continued to push the envelope as the darkest, most intense drama series on TV. I'm Rob Licuria, Senior Editor at Gold Derby, here with Emmy winner Aunt Dowd, who plays zealous enforcer Aunt Lydia. And many of your characters are dark, complicated, and a bit unhinged. And you've said before that outliers appeal to you. You've also said that your first rule is no judgment. Talk us through why you're attracted to characters like Lydia and how you bring them to life authentically.
Thank you. What a lovely question. Outliers, people who don't feel they fit in, people who work towards survival and not pity, who don't give up, for whom life is very tough. I don't know why but tremendously drawn to that level of bravery and isolation. And coming to know those characters requires basic rules, I would say. One is no judgment. As I think said before, judgment means end of relationship, particularly for characters who are very well guarded and have already made the decision that trusting another is not worth it, because in the end, you will be let down. So I've always felt that if you approach the relationship as you might a friendship that matters to you, which is to say, over time, you tell me about you and I will tell you about me, and let's see how we do. And go slowly and respect the days of silence. And, do your work, meaning, there are some basic things that actors stick to, which are all action oriented. They have to be, because action is a conscious choice. And as we know in life, we don't have control over the unconscious, which is often where the character presents his or her soul. So what do you do as an actor? You focus on, what is it that I want? Meaning the character. What does Lydia want? What is in her way? The obstacle. And then what am I going to do? What is she going to do, or I'm going to do, to get what she wants? If you keep it on that level, which is to say, out of the mind and into the body, then you have a chance of moving forward, even if you don't know her fully. The privilege of 3 seasons in is, when you come to see her at the beginning, she's waiting. She wants to know if you're ready. Are you up for this? Have you kept her alive in your heart? That kind of thing. This must sound insane to people. Maybe I'm sorry. I because I can plan it.
Riveting. It's actually,
but it's what makes it. And to tell you the truth, Rob, the thing is, I'm sure I've told you everything, but I was a pre-med student for 4 years in college. And the way you get the A's you need to get to stay competitive is to study and then study again and then study again. Now, that's not a requirement. If you trust in the gifts you might have been given in terms of ability to do physics, organic chemistry, then you don't need to do that. But I was not aware of how far I needed to go to complete it. The point being, that is a successful way of moving forward, even though the anxiety never subsides. But that doesn't apply. And then my senior year, I thought, I'm going to go to acting school. And so I applied the same rules in acting school. Can you imagine? I will know I'll know this character in 1 week. I will read the script 5, 6, 7 times. I will write down my questions. I will make it. No. So it took a moment to learn that these are human beings waiting to come to life.
Yeah.
And to be given a voice and a body in which to live. So it took me a while, but then learning with such deep appreciation that this character will tell you about herself. Just take the time, spend the moments, bring her outside with you, forgive, accept, love her. Then you're in. It's the best.
That is the best. And then we get finally that flashback episode.
Oh my God.
8, Unfit. What a gift. It's It's
Rob.
like seriously, what were your reactions when you saw, when you read the script? She's softer, more vulnerable. She's needy. She's lonely. This is who she was before she became Aunt Lydia. What were your thoughts?
Well, it's a funny thing. You know, as the actress playing the character, you have all kinds of ideas. When the backstory comes, it's going to be this, and it's going to be that. Not that they're going to ask me, and thank God they don't. The writers know what they're doing, thankfully.
Yeah.
However, I knew something must have gone awry. Some hurt must have occurred, because you can't just shut it down like that and stick to it unless you've shut down, you've kept the armor firmly in place and then embedded it even further. So I knew, but the way Kira Snyder, and I'm sure in the writer's room, all of the creation there, the fact that it worked so well and that there were no gaps, Rob, meaning nothing happened. Those days of shooting that episode, there was no sense of time, none whatsoever. And I'm telling you, you have time, a sense of time on a set, because the days are long. Zero. It could have been the first scene of the day or the last. Didn't know, didn't care. I was so beside myself with joy. That is the word. And also it broke my heart, you see, because she gave up that chance with John Ortiz because shame was running the show. Shame was ruling the day for her.
Yeah.
Shame, and all those voices that said you're worth nothing, you whore, you everything, you creep.
Yeah.
Look at you now. And then he takes a little break, saying it's a little fast for me. And that you might as well have said, you filthy whore. You're not worth anything. And that seriously broke my heart to watch that, and also that sweet little boy and the mother.
Yeah.
Trying their best, you know, and she knew it. And yet could not. The gift of that episode, I'll tell you, it was just phenomenal.
Yeah. There's so many subtle moments, like firstly of apprehension, vulnerability. It's such a counterpoint to what we expect from her. But I'll tell you something. There's something that really occurred to me. Now, you might say, no, Rob, you're wrong. But this is what I really, truly believe. In the bar on New Year's Eve, she immediately says, no, thank you, to the champagne. That's her default, to withhold or refrain. She can't open. But when we see Lydia letting her guard down, singing and dancing, and she's happy and she's getting sexually intimate, I mean, it was just heaven to watch. But then she's ultimately humiliated and she has to put a stop to it, and she shuts him down and she can't bear to be hurt by the shame. Oh. I mean, there's so much there. It's so much to unpack.
It was the sickest feeling, you know. And it's hard to explain this, but because it's make-believe, if you will, and I don't mean to dismiss it in any way. Oh my God, the opposite. You can feel every bit of sorrow and grief for her in the moments. But at the end of the day, you can go home and sit with it, and then you can let it go. That's the privilege of our work. You know, I've said in a joking manner, when we go home, everyone has their fingers, you know, and their eyes, and they haven't been hurt. They're okay. And we're going to come and we're going to jump back into the story. And the privilege of that episode and so much of shooting Lydia is you can join in, you can experience what she experiences without any protection, because you don't need protection. This is make-believe. And you can draw on the things you have already settled in your own self. You know, I've had the privilege of teaching acting for a bit, and I love it so. It's the most wonderful thing, young actors, you know. And what I say to them is, we don't need protection. We came into the world with the need to communicate, the desire to communicate, and the ability to do so. However, acting is not suffering. If you tap into a part of yourself and the red flag goes up and the protection goes up and the grief begins, you step away. There are other places to get what you need. Please respect your own life and your own well-being. Leave it to be. There's another way into this character, millions of ways, you know?
Wow. It's so good that you're able to do that, because there's a lot of really heavy, dark stuff that you have to do on this. And for example, you know, I found it so interesting that Aunt Lydia emerges before Gilead, like her persona. It was like the straw that broke the camel's back. What Jim did to her wasn't so bad, but there must have been so much going on within her. And she's hurting so badly that she lashes out at everybody, and then she becomes quite cruel, and then, you know, the rest is history. Did you like that little twist at the end, that you were already playing her? Your body changed, your hair, your external, but your internal changed as well.
It made tremendous sense to me. Because the thing is, triggers are very interesting. And your children are how old?
11 and 10.
Okay. Not tiny little ones. But, you know, as the children go through things that are very challenging for them, my oldest boy is on the spectrum, and so on. And the grief a parent experiences throws them back into their own past, one's own past.
Yeah.
And it's a trigger of sorts. And you don't know why you're grieving. You can say, because my boy, I don't want him to suffer, and I don't want him to be without the help he needs. Thankfully, he's in the most beautiful place on the earth. But something has happened inside a mother's soul or a father's, and it takes them back to their own past, and you realize, wow, how vulnerable we all are. And with Lydia, that rejection, when somehow she got up the strength to pursue sexually what she wanted to do, and she was rejected. And heck, I think the trigger was way too big. Shame, filthy whore. And the world is not safe. And who were you kidding that you could put that armor down, you fool?
Yeah.
Don't ever, ever do it again. That mother, don't let her kid you. She's had enough chances. She's not doing it right. She can't even feed her kid. Shut the door, and shut it now. Because if you continue with this, I'll try, that's it for you. And I think she was too damaged. That was my take. Yeah. Now, Margaret Atwood may have a different take on that.
Well,
I love
maybe.
Margaret. But that was what was very real for me.
And you get to own that character now while you're playing her to some extent. This is what I found the most fascinating. At the end of the episode, we're back in Gilead, off Matthew's having a breakdown, and she almost shoots Lydia before she's taken out, right? It's so interesting that Lydia pleads with her by using her name, finally, in that moment. For that one brief second, Lydia is able to let that guard down again, because she sees the only way I'm going to get through this woman is to actually relate to her as a person, not as a vessel. That is so interesting. It's so brief and fleeting, but anyone who's paying attention.
I agree with you. That's such a good question. But you know, here's how she saves herself from despair, Lydia, in my opinion. She is, you know, you could say she's a born teacher, which is to say, she knows how to get control of a room very quickly, but she knows what the love of learning is, the love of take a step forward now in your life. Come on now. And she has genuine love for those girls. That's the part of her she allowed herself to keep. Not her own child, because that's too dangerous. Not a man, no way. But I can love these girls, and I know what happens. And I know what reaches them. And I keep that open. That is my vow to myself. I will not let go of them. And therefore, the beautiful actress who played that role, oh my God.
They're all incredible. And then,
aren't they?
Oh, this cast blows my mind. I just don't know. I have no words, really. And I sound like
I don't either, one, and I spent days with him.
Yeah.
And you know what else may I say? I don't know. We're probably you know, given Black Lives Matter, thank the Lord, we've sat, the number of times we've sat as a group, and, you know, always the issue, where are the Black members of our cast? Where are the Black members or women, men of color in our crew? Lots of work to do there. But sitting with the handmaids, Black women, white women, young, and literally being educated as the older aunt on the set, and sitting with these people and learning from them. Oh my gosh, I can't describe how brilliant the experience is.
Yeah. There's so many other highlights. I wish we had all day. We don't. So there's one more that I was going to talk about from a different episode.
Sure.
God Bless the Child. It's episode 4. And you've talked about it at length, I'm sure, but that's where Lydia beats Janine with the cattle prod, which is all already in itself is enough that we could talk about for 3 hours. But when she's done and everybody in that room, the people that she looks up to and admires, are looking at her in judgment, and she retreats to the other room and cries, I was floored. Talk us through that aspect of the episode, because there's a lot there as well to unpack.
Well, of course, Lydia is vulnerable and she's frightened because she was shoved down some stairs and stabbed. And she didn't see it coming. So what she went through after that, first of all, fear, anxiety, who's going to, and also they're going to judge me. They're going to say I'm old, and they're going to say, the commanders, they're going to say, lost her touch, lost her control. So there's so many levels of fear operating here. Plus she's physically not okay. She pretends, but the aches and the this and the that, no. So the one she loves most, well, Offred, but my little Janine, my little precious, my little girl, whose eye I took out and shouldn't have, because she really could not handle it and I misjudged it. I let my ego get the best of me and I took her out and took her eye out. I am responsible for this girl, period. And you will never forget her, and you will watch her, the vow every day. And then the trigger of her, stop talking. How much do I have to say to you to stop it? And then looking at the room and all things combining. Judgment, she's not up to it. Put her out in the colonies. Who cares? Me, Lydia. And just the trigger again, and the loss of control.
Yeah.
And then afterwards saying, what happened? What did I do? How could I do it? The amount of grief that woman lives with, I know that people don't think about that, and I get why. But going back to the room at night, she's not a social gal. Someone talk to the aunts. For God's sake, get away from me. You're all annoying. But the grief she lives with, how did I do that? How did I lose control? What did I do? Does that make any sense?
It makes perfect sense. Yeah, it's incredible. It really is. And it's just a TV show, I know, but it really means a lot to many of us.
I'm so grateful to those who watch. I really mean it.
Yeah. We love it.
It's everything.
It is everything. Were you aware of the social media trend about people saying you should play all villains from now on going forward? Just everybody should be you. You were so delightfully creepy in Hereditary. You're so damn...
Oh, Hereditary! I read it with my eye half closed, I swear.
That was my favourite film of 2018 because I just thought it was a masterpiece. It was. Ari Aster did such a great job.
Ari Aster. Okay, there are no words for that man.
Incredible.
He's phenomenal. When I first read it, Rob, I said, oh, a nice character. She's so nice. I swear to God. And I thought, no, and she's the devil, dearest, or one step away.
She's the worst. But oh baby. But then Lambs of God is one of the best Australian dramas of recent years. You play the unhinged Sister Margarita. I implore all of our American viewers to seek it out. It's playing in America now.
They do.
It's wonderful.
I don't know if we've heard anything. I watched it. That I watched on because it's enough time. And also, who is that woman with the hair? I didn't recognize myself in it. Can I just? And so I was watching. I never saw anything like it in my life.
Yeah. Another
Yeah.
religious zealot, gothic, running amok on a cloistered island. Like, it's just your wheelhouse now.
And also so current.
So
Okay, you priests who got yourself in trouble, go get therapy for sexual abuse of young people. Go take care of your own bills and leave the people alone. Anyway, that's really mean, but.
It's true. But speaking of current, my final question, we've talked about this at length, but I think it's more important now than ever. The key art for season 3 has the words "Wake Up America" emblazoned on it. It is a prescient, timely and bold reminder of how this show is probably the most relevant of all. Don't you think that it's even more so now because of political corruption, religious extremism and power, and how that is killing our society?
I agree 100,000%. And if you think the small steps don't mean anything, look again. The haunting phrase from Handmaid's Tale season 1, by the time we put our phones down, it was too late. That scares me every time. And look what's happening. We're not making this up. And the other thing that Margaret Atwood said the other day, well, no, she said it a long time ago. Nothing in The Handmaid's Tale is made up. It has all happened, I'm not kidding, somewhere in this world. So let's not kid ourselves. Stay alert, take steps, speak up, say no, and vote for the love of God. Will you vote?
Will you please turn up and vote?
And get him out.
Please. Anyway, and I could just keep you hostage here for the next 7 hours. But
I love it so much, Rob. You're the most wonderful person. I love talking to you.
So much insight on season 3. It was really special. I can't wait for you guys to get back to work so that we can get a season 4 out of you.
Me too. Oh, such a pleasure. Thank you. And thank you to everyone who's watching for watching The Handmaid's Tale. You'll take care of yourself, will you?
Yes, you too. Now, everybody, while you're here, go to Goldderby, make your predictions, and Anne is in our prediction center. She's really close to the top. Make your predictions, click subscribe, and before you go, watch all of our contender chats. We have so many, and they're all brilliant.
Oh, I'm so glad. I shall watch them for sure.